you want to attract deer to your property or areas that you hunt in the fall, you better have the 3 key factors: cover, does, and maybe most important, food. Think of it as a buffet. By offering the best food, you'll keep those deer coming back. Slack off, and you're losing your deer to the buffet down the street.
What's on the menu for Mr. Big? Absolutely everything he could possibly want.
Because he who has the food has the deer. Plain and simple.
This is Land of Whitetail TV. Offering the best food for deer is more than just throwing out a few bags of attractant. A good land manager will know what they have, then supplement it through hard work. It can take a while, but the payoff makes the hard work all worth it.
Food plots. Everybody wants one. They want the biggest, the baddest, the coolest food plot ever. And who can blame them? Food plots, they serve a basic purpose. They keep deer healthy. And healthy deer are happy deer. That's right. Everything in your refrigerator keeps you healthy and happy. Well, there's some things in there you might want to throw out. But for deer, you need a food plot if you're managing a property. It's almost a given. And with that happiness comes homeboundness. Yeah, deer will stay at home. They won't wander over to the neighbors and get shot. So your food plot, it serves 2 big purposes. Keeping the herd healthy, so you're gonna have better recruitment and bigger antlers, and keeping them at home. So when the bucks get those big antlers, your neighbor Bill across the fence over there, he's not gonna reap the rewards of all your hard work.
You know, deer are selective browsers. What does this mean? This means they eat a little bit of everything. Just because you plant the luscious, most beautiful food plot doesn't mean they're gonna set up shop there and get 90% of their protein or nutrition from that food plot. Not happening. They're gonna get it from all around that area. So what I always tell people is look at your food plot from an aerial view and what do you have going around you.
If your hunting area is already graced with great food sources, count yourself very fortunate. If not, food plots are a great way to not only attract deer, but keep them coming back. But it's more than just tilling a field.
Congratulations. You've saved up for the last 15, 20 years, worked overtime, put money away, skipped going out on weekends, all so you could finally buy that dream hunting ground. You've got it. And you want to run out there and you want to put in a food plot. The biggest mistake that most hunters make is they go and they find that area that's easy, that back corner of the field, the opening in the woods that's already naturally there, someplace that they can get their equipment in, they work up the dirt. If they're smart, they do a soils test first, they control the weeds, they got their food plot in. Now how the heck are you gonna hunt that darn thing? Before you ever start making improvements on your ground, come up with a plan.
As with most things in deer hunting, it's all about common sense and using your hunter instincts. In the Midwest, deer will be in farming areas. Big farming areas mean many places to hide. So how do you beat that?
It can almost be overwhelming when you're hunting agricultural areas. I mean, all that corn and all those soybeans, you know the deer are camping out there. But what people don't realize, if you've got places where you can plant small stands of corn, small stands of soybeans, they're gonna work like deer magnets. Now you say, how's that possible? Why would they even bother with those small plots when you've got all this agricultural area? Well, really what it does for you is 2 things. First of all, the deer are concentrated on those large sources of soybeans and corn, and they're leaving yours alone. Okay, that's the first big plus. Your small crops are not getting decimated by the deer. And then what happens in October, when the good old farmer comes around and starts knocking down all that corn and soybeans, the deer are forced to move out of those areas, and where are they going to go now? They're going to go to your small plots of corn and soybeans.
Much of what deer eat is dependent on where you hunt. Dan Schmidt is an avid Midwest whitetail hunter, but today he's heading west to Wyoming. Something about getting out of his comfort zone to learn new things, or just to target a big western whitetail.
Oh yeah, I'm going. I've been there before, I know what to expect. And I'm so excited to be out there, especially for the opening of bow season, because these deer are so unpressured that you're gonna see deer all day long.
Land of Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, more deer, fewer blanks. Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science. Thompson Center, America's master gunmakers. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. And by Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply, dry it, and go hunt. If you are a deer hunter, you know how the change in seasons affect whitetails. It also affects what they eat and what food they are looking for.
Now today's companies, they mix seeds together in mixtures. So even if you can only put in one food plot, there's several varieties of vegetation coming up, crops, that mature at different rates throughout the year. That takes the pressure off one certain food source, so deer are not focusing on that, and then allows that to mature, and then deer move over to that, and the other one can recuperate. And that's just an ongoing cycle with these seed mixtures. It's a great, great idea to do. Whatever you do though, with whatever seed mixture you pick out, make sure there's something always on the table all the time. Don't you get frustrated when you can't find something to eat? Well, deer do the same thing. So you want those crops maturing at different times. If you have the chance to put in several food plots, you want those maturing at different times. So you want deer being able to move around your property, always finding something to eat from January through December, 24/7, 365 days a year. There should be something on the table.
Hunters can study the eating habits of deer until it drives them crazy, but it really isn't that difficult to figure out. Give the deer the best food you can, and it keeps them coming back. But you do need to know what the deer want, and that depends on where you are. Dan Schmidt has an invitation to hunt whitetails in Wyoming.
You know, if you're gonna go out there, you owe it to yourself to take in the sights. You're within a stone's throw of Devil's Tower. Very cool. You're not far away from Mount Rushmore, just a very neat part of our history in America. And everything else you're gonna see there, you can see antelope, you can see elk, you can see bison, you're gonna see deer, you can see whitetails or mule deer, you're gonna see turkeys, you can see mountain lions. So much game and such a cool land. Before heading out west, you gotta think in a little bit different terms because it could be so variable.
Which means different eating diets for deer than he's used to. The food selection for these deer is diverse. Out here, water is the key. There is not a lot of water available, so the outfitters use tanks.
I'm Ralph Dampman at Trophy Ridge Outfitters. We do a lot of scouting throughout the summer, but the fact that the deer are easy to pattern, and it really is helpful. You know, they're just coming in on them trails in them lush alfalfa or grain fields or water, and we can really watch our water source, and that can be helpful.
First day of the hunt is about, it was maybe 50 in the morning. It got up into the 70s by the middle of the day. A little warm for most places for bow hunting, but I knew from being there before that we were gonna see deer, and we saw them right off the bat. We had several bucks come in the first morning, pass those up because I knew what we were gonna be in store for. And then as the days go by, especially in the afternoons, these fields just fill up with whitetails.
Best thing about hunting early season is you get to see some of this behavior up close because these deer haven't been hunted all year. They're pretty much unaware of our presence. Having scent killer and spraying ourselves down coming in here, that really paid off. But we had deer underneath our stand all morning, wasn't winded once. That's testament to good scent control. But the neat thing about watching these deer up close is you get to see all these behaviors, especially with the whitetails. You know, they're wetting the epithelium of their nose, that's the nasal lining, to try to smell. They couldn't smell us. We had a little bit of pre-rut activity here. That happens in September. You see a buck thinking about making a licking branch. You know, he's working his preorbital lure, his preorbital gland on a licking branch, paws a little bit, and thrashes the brush a little bit with his antlers. It's a little bit of aggression. The weather's getting cooler. These are all signs that it's fall, and bucks are starting to disperse. They're starting to feel their oats, and they're starting to get their own identity. And that's what you got to be on the lookout when you're hunting, is when these deer break out of those bachelor groups, then you can really pinpoint where they're going to be within their home range.
Boy, oh boy, that was a fun first morning, very productive, and we saw some bucks. That 10-pointer was really tempting, but I want to pass him up and see what else we can see on this trip.
If you are a deer hunter, you know how the change in seasons affect whitetails. It also affects what they eat and what food they are looking for.
There are food types that work better during each phase of season. Early season clovers, alfalfa, late planted soybeans, they're still green, outstanding draws. You get more to mid-season, the corn starts picking up, the soybeans dry, they start picking up again, your clover is still producing for you, brassicas start getting more and more attractive. The oats that are still alive, the green oats, they're getting hammered. Now you get to late season, the oats are dead. The alfalfa's had so many frosts on it that it's tainted. The clovers aren't as sweet anymore. But those brassicas sure are still coming on strong. The soybeans are a heck of a good draw. The corn now is a great draw. The cereal rye, that 15% protein content it's got going on, food sources change through season. We can address that through our food plots. So the seasonal changes that a whitetail goes through also impact what food sources you want to have available on those properties.
Much of what deer eat is dependent on where you hunt. Dan Schmidt is an avid Midwest whitetail hunter, but today he's heading west to Wyoming.
It's always fun seeing someone like Dan go out and hunt the West. I mean, he is Midwestern born and raised, and I think although he's a very, very good deer hunter, I mean, it takes him out of his element, and I like to tease him a little bit when he goes out there about what he can expect to see, because he's not hunting out of his backyard anymore. He's out west. He's going to have to hunt by a whole new set of rules.
So it's the second afternoon. We're sitting over an alfalfa field. We had 300 deer in this field. Now granted, it was a large agricultural field that we're hunting, several 100-acre field. But you know, here comes 3 bucks, here comes 5 does, here come 2 more bucks, and across the field, and it just went on like that in the afternoon. But no matter where I hunt, I always tell everybody, do not pass a deer up any given sit. First day, second day, that you'd be happy to kill the last day. And that was my rule for this hunt. Kill a mature buck. Find a mature buck, kill a mature buck, because that's what you're here for. Lo and behold, beautiful 8-pointer. We watched him almost all afternoon, long ways away on this field. He was coming to a water source, and he came right into our laps and gave us a perfect opportunity. So we're watching this buck come in, and he's coming closer and closer. We know he's going to get a drink, and Murphy's Law would have it, you know, where he comes in, I can see him perfectly, but my cameraman can't because I'm sitting in front of him. So I tell him, you're gonna have to take the camera off that tripod if we're gonna try to get this kill on film. Well, the deer sees me move, he takes 2 bounds, and at this point we have to shift. He's hand holding it over my shoulder right when the buck stops in front of me. Thankfully, I got anchored nice, got a really good shot off on the deer, and we actually watched him go down in that field. Got him, got him, got him, got him. We got him, we got him. Watch him go, stay on him. Stay on him. Blood is just pouring out of him. Pouring out of him. Go down, baby. He went down right there, right in the edge of the field, yes! Yeah, oh my gosh! Oh! Pins and needles. Talk about a rush. I mean, a mature buck within 20 paces that early in the season, doesn't know we're there, that is enough to just put anybody on edge. It didn't put me on edge. I was so happy.
Went down. Is that him right there? That's him right there. There he is. He didn't make it to the wood line. I thought he did. He didn't make it that far. Carbon Express pile driver in a Rage Extreme. Wow, look at the blood trail. Holy moly. Look at this. What a deer. Oh, he's got an extra tine. Look at that. What a pretty buck. Oh my gosh. What a pretty deer. That is a pretty Northeast Wyoming whitetail. Holy cow.
I was so happy to get the season started like that because a trip to Wyoming is just like recharging your batteries to max capacity. It's the sights, the sounds, the experiences that you don't get to experience anywhere else. I am so looking forward to going back again.
Coming up next, perfecting your setup in growing big and what you should be doing right now to get ready for the season. This is Land of Whitetail TV. Land of Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, more deer, fewer blanks. Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science. Thompson Center, America's master gunmakers. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. And by Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply, dry it, and go hunt. Growing Big with Steve Bartilla.
If you've got a 40, if you've got a 20, if you got 10 acres, that doesn't mean that you can't go out there and manage that 10 acres, especially the habitat. We can do incredibly good improvements. But if you're in a heavily hunted area and you're thinking that I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna throw in a food plot, I'm gonna do a little bit of hinge cutting, and all of a sudden I'm gonna have 160-inch bucks running around, frankly, on small properties, you're at the mercy of the neighbors to an extent. Set reasonable goals, have reasonable expectations. What you're really going into this to do, first and foremost, is have fun. Go out in the woods, play around a little bit, shape the habitat. For me personally, it is a flat out rush. When I can go ahead and take deer and through the activities, through some hinge cutting, maybe making a sidewalk, a blockade, I can redirect them. I can make them do what I want. That, to me, maybe I'm a freak, but that is fun. You know, so that's goal number one. Goal number two is just to increase your hunting opportunities. On these smaller properties, no, you're not going to, if the biggest bucks in the area are 120 to 140-inch bucks, no, you're not going to be growing booners on your 20 acres. You know, because you're out there doing some habitat improvements, that's not going to happen. You know, I think most of you realize that if you've been following this. Frankly, most of the people that follow our show are the top managers out there, you know, and they know this already. But you also should know that when that good buck comes through, he's not going to, a lot of times in these smaller properties, they don't spend a ton of time because you don't have the ability to shape them exactly the way you want them, to provide the very best of everything, the best food, water, cover, feeling of safety, comfort factor, and breeding opportunities in that area to get them to spend a disproportionate amount of time on that property. What you've got is you got that one good buck in the area. When he comes through during daylight hours, you want to have your ground set up in a way that you are going to kill him a disproportionately high percentage of the time. Those are often the realistic goals that viewers should set for themselves. Don't focus on inches. Do not focus on, man, I'm going to set my property up and we're going to kill booners, or we're going to kill 160s, or we're going to kill 140s. Instead, set your property up so that when a mature buck, when one of the better bucks in the area come through, the odds of me killing him are even better.
Whether you're hunting pressured deer or unpressured deer, you want them to be healthy. Sometimes that means bringing the nutrition to them.
Creating mineral licks is one way of doing this, but you gotta have the right ingredients to keep deer healthy year-round. Bare minimum, you're looking for something that has manganese, copper, zinc, selenium, the key vitamins and minerals deer need to stay healthy all year round. You know, creating a mineral lick that deer are gonna use is more than just walking out in the woods and dumping this stuff out there. You're gonna waste your time and your money doing that. What you ideally would like is to have your mineral site near a water source, or at least a deer trail leading to a water source. The reason for this is deer will absorb that mineral much more readily if they can drink after they eat the mineral. So what we want to do is we want to find a spot right here. We're by a deer trail. We're just going to clear the earth a little bit here. The key to any mineral is getting it to leach into the soil. Any natural deer lick, deer will come to year after year after year, and they're going to actually eat that down into the ground. They actually eat the soil. Deer are what they eat, and they get it through the ground. They get it through the soil. It's what's in the soil that gives them the minerals. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to clear this out. We're going to pour it out so it can leach into the soil. Deer will find it and they'll start using it. If science has taught us anything, it's that healthier deer will lead to better deer and better deer hunting.
Be sure to check Deer and Deer Hunting out online and on Facebook.